Hello, welcome back to Daily Devotions. Today we're in the book of 2 Corinthians chapter 12. Paul is continuing his defense as the apostle of Jesus Christ because he's been attacked by some false prophets. Let's see what he has to say today. Verse 1, it is doubtless not profitable for me to boast. I will come to visions and revelations of the Lord. I know a man in Christ who 14 years ago, whether in the body or out, I do not know, but God knows, such a one was caught up in the third heaven, and I know such a man, whether in the body or out of the body, I do not know. God knows how he was caught up into paradise and heard in inexpressible words which it is not lawful for man to utter. Of such a one I will boast. Yet of myself I will not boast, except in my infirmities. For though I might desire to boast, I will not be a fool. For I will speak the truth, but I will refrain, lest anyone should think of me above what he sees me to be or hears from me. To some people, the account of Paul's heavenly vision will seem out of place, coming right on the heels of the suffering and weakness. But in a cultural context, Greeks believed that those who truly represented the gods would experience mystical visions. Undoubtedly, the false apostles claimed revelation on their own. To Corinthians, enthralled by such amazing claims, groveled before these false teachers. They wanted to know more. So Paul regarded it necessary to briefly relate his own genuine vision. So Paul began to describe how God uses suffering in the lives of people. Those words powerfully unfold God's purposes in a believer's pain. It's a gem of rare beauty, perhaps the most emotionally charged passage Paul ever penned. In these verses, Paul presents irrefutable proof that he is a genuine apostle. Unlike the false apostles lurking about Corinth and leading people astray, Paul possesses genuine qualifications and true God given powers. And lest I should be exalted above measure by the abundance of the revelation, a thorn in the flesh was given to me. A messenger of Satan buffeted me, lest I should be exalted above measure. Concerning this thing, I pleaded with the Lord 3 times that it might depart from me. And he said to me, my grace is sufficient for you. My strength is made perfect in weakness. Therefore, more gladly, I would rather boast in my infirmities, that the power of God may rest upon me. Therefore, I take pleasure in infirmities, and approaches, and needs, and persecutions, and distresses, for Christ's sake. For when I am weak, then I am strong. Paul linked an extraordinary vision with an exasperating thorn. God gave Paul a motivating vision of heaven, but also some opposition to keep him humble. God gave him grace and power to overcome the thorn, but he didn't take it away. Visions make leaders passionate. Thorns keep us humble. Vision makes us passionate. Thorns keep us humble. I have become a fool in boasting. You have compelled me, for I ought to have been commended by you. For in nothing was I behind the most eminent apostles, though I am nothing. Truly, the signs of an apostle were accomplished among you with all perseverance and signs and wonders and mighty deeds. For what is it to which you were inferior to other churches, except that I myself was not burdensome to you? Forgive me for this wrong. Paul told the Corinthians that, hey, I made a fool out of myself acting this way and boasting. There wasn't a single thing that that was marvelous that these other marvelous men had done that he hadn't. Paul does not have to do this. He doesn't have to defend himself, even though that it was the boasting was worth nothing. He then he had to be with them. He felt that there was no proof that he had supplied that was good enough for them, and he desired to be with them. He goes on to say that the only thing he didn't do for them was that he does everywhere else was to become a financial burden to them. He hadn't asked them for one thing, not a place to live, not food to eat. Please, he says, forgive me for this wrong. Forgive me for this wrong. It's like I gave it to you too freely and you took advantage of it. Isn't it funny how whenever somebody receives something that they didn't have to pay for, it's easier for them to take advantage of it. But whenever you have to pay for it, you begin to appreciate it more. And he tells us about his love for them. Now, for the third time, I am ready to come to you, and I will not be burdensome to you, for I do not seek yours, but you. For the children ought to lay up for the parents, but the parents for the children. And I very gladly spend and be spent for your souls, though the more abundantly I love you, the less I am loved. But Be that as it may, I did not burden you. Nevertheless, being crafty, I caught you by cunning. Did I take advantage of you by any of those who I sent to you? I urged Titus and sent our brother with him. Did Titus take advantage of you? Did we not walk in the same spirit? Did we not walk the same steps? Again, do you think that we will excuse ourselves to you? We speak before God in Christ, but do all these things, beloved, for your edification. For I fear lest when I come I shall not be found as such as I wish, and that I shall be found by you such as I do not wish, lest there be contention and jealousy and outburst of wrath and selfish ambition and backbiting and whispering and conceit, turbulence, lest when I come again my God will humble me before you, and I shall mourn for many who have sinned before and have not repented of the uncleanness, the fornication, the lewdness which they have practiced. Paul sought the Corinthians, not their money. He cared for their souls, not their pocketbook. It was important to remember that the backdrop of this study in 2 Corinthians was an assault on the church by false apostles. These men had preyed on the church, savaged Paul's credibility, forced him to defend himself, and Paul continues to differentiate himself from false apostles, contrasting his correct view of ministry with their wrong view. Paul demonstrated that we will be able to distinguish true men of God by qualities such as faithfulness, sacrifice, honesty, reverence, and observant desire to build others up rather than tear others down. He loved them, and he was telling them how much he could prove it. He was saying, not only do I love you, I'm going to prove that I love you. And he began to prove it in this letter. Sacrifice and faithfulness and honesty and reverence, building people up. Those are the things that we should be in our everyday lives. Those are the types of leaders we should be in our everyday lives. God bless you. Have a great day. I hope that today made you a little bit better. Bye-bye.